going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Alpha Auto Adventures video, and today we're doing the year in review of ownership and daily driving the Stelvio Quadrifoglio. So let's jump right in. I'll kind of take you on my daily little journey here with the car. So today I got some clients in the morning, put my toolbox in there, got to do an Amazon return. So pretty spacious, gets the job done for everything. All right, we're gonna start her up, let her warm up a little bit while I take out the trash. I got 46,193 miles on the car. In this video, I want to cover obviously how many miles I've driven, the services that I've done, the cost of those items, fuel consumption, convenience of the car in my day-to-day life with a kid, with work, and kind of commuting to clients, things like that. You know, doing some household chores in the car. I'm trying to limit that. And just overall my opinions on how the car has been for me as a daily, and you know, whether or not something you would consider in the future, or if you're looking into one of these cars, if it's something that you're going to daily, some things you should consider. In terms of the type of driving I'm doing typically at this point, it's a good mix between highway driving and, you know, regular back roads, town driving, whatever you want to call it. In terms of fuel range, the car says 375 miles on a tank I just filled up yesterday, and it doesn't really get that. You know, even if I'm driving it in the normal mode or in the natural mode and not really being too aggressive on it, it's still, you know, I'm still in the 200s in terms of my actual range. So it's not great, filling up about once a week for my driving needs. So that's not great, but what are you gonna do? In terms of any modifications, the car is relatively stock. Have a module to disconnect the auto engine start on and off thing, and exhaust valve control, and then some aftermarket wheels and tires. So pretty stock, nothing too crazy. You know, if I do open the valves up and run that, it will reduce my gas mileage a bit. I try not to really run them open all the time, but in this car it's definitely hard to resist sometimes. You just want to hear the engine, hear the exhaust, and enjoy the car. That's kind of why I bought it, probably why you guys are buying it, considering buying it. So not so much about the fuel economy when it comes to a performance vehicle, but I will say, for, you know, 500 horsepower V6 twin turbo, I think it's not too bad. You know, I'm averaging about 19-20 miles a gallon per trip. You know, when I had my Infiniti 3.7 V6, I was getting 17. You know, so worse and not as fun. So whatever, you know. It's obviously not an electric hybrid, but it works. It definitely works. Okay, puts a smile on this face, and that is what matters most, right? All right, let's talk about just some daily driving features, convenience features. You know, like I said before, I don't really drive the crap out of this car. I'm not super aggressive on it all the time, and you know, I love that you can do that with this car, and it's not always go, go, go. you know, it's not always my mood, my personality for the day, and this car can be nice and tame and totally appropriate as a daily. And then, you know, you turn the knob to dynamic, or in this case race mode, and this thing is an animal. So just having that control with a switch of a knob is pretty huge. Other things, we got the panoramic moonroof, which is nice. I do open that from time to time. However, one thing I'll say is the shade that covers it and closes it is not fully UV sun protective, or whatever you want to call it, because as a bald dude on a long trip, I found out the hard way. My head was fried. I wasn't wearing a hat. It was a sunny day. I was in the car. It was about a five hour drive, and my head was burnt. You know, so AC works well. The climate control works well. Heated seats work well. I do miss my AC seats in the Infiniti, but honestly, because of the material here, they're not full leather. They're like a mixture of suede and leather, so it doesn't get as sticky and hot as a full leather seat. Oh yeah, on ramps to highways, very nice. The trunk space is adequate for sure. You know, I'll lug around a toolbox and a massage table or treatment table if I'm going to clients' homes for my day job. And it fits just right, just enough for a good size treatment table, my toolbox of goodies, and then, you know, maybe another small box or two as needed. In terms of leg room, you know, when I have my kid in the back in his kid seat, I do have to move this passenger seat up so he's not kicking his legs. He's getting taller, so I'm trying to give him a little room, and it's getting tight up front. So that's something to consider. Again, it's usually just myself in the car, maybe a passenger, whether it's my son or someone else. So there's usually only 2 people in here at a time. You know, have I packed it? Yes, but it's definitely tight if I'm kind of sitting back. I'm about 5'10", so I'm not too tall, but if you're taller than that, you're definitely pushing this seat further back, and that's going to take away even more leg room. So something to consider. Look at that. We got the collision warning, works well. Usually don't set that off. I ran into some random traffic here. Has the lane detection, has adaptive cruise control. You can read the brochure for that stuff. Again, not something I use a ton of because I'm not just cruising on the highway too long. Fairly small glove compartment and center console, but again, I'm not really lugging a ton of stuff around in this car. Back seats, they do fully come down, and they do have a nice split so that when I have the kid's seat in there, I don't have to take it out. I can just put down the other side, or I can do the center if I'm, you know, I have transported some beams or some wood before, carefully. You know, I don't want to mess up the interior, but hey, it's a daily. It's a daily. True daily, going to Home Depot, okay? Relax. Other daily use features, the blinkers. Those are those things that you use when you try to change lanes or just be nice to someone behind you, you know, let them know that you might be changing directions or something like that. Yeah, just in case you guys were wondering. They do work on this car. I do like to use them, try to be a considerate driver. You got the quick feature that gives you like 3 blinks, or you got the long press. Other great feature, right? Probably most importantly, is the tech. So the tech kind of gets a shitty name in these Alfas. I totally see why, you know, in terms of the price point, and, you know, it's an Italian sports car. The tech is pretty shitty. I'm not gonna lie. You know, the screen is small. It's not touch screen. Features are minimal. However, it does have Apple and Android Auto, and I plug in and it's good, right? So without that, I think it would really be lacking. But because it does have Apple and Android Auto, not wireless, so you do have to plug in, but that's fine. And I use my Google Maps, my Spotify, and that's pretty much all I use, to be honest. But there's a few other things. My interior with the little red accents I'll show you definitely makes it a little nicer. And I think if it was all black, it'd be a little boring given the lack of flair or whatever. But the simplicity is also nice in a way. If you go back to pure Italian racing, pretty simple. So again, I'm not really buying this car for the tech or the interior per se. It's more about the engine and performance and drive for this type of car. But again, if you compare it to other luxury SUVs, similar price point, similar power, you're definitely getting a nicer, more fancy interior. Alright, so pretty basic controls, nothing crazy. You got the cup holders, nice carbon fiber accents. You want to close that up, give it a nice clean look. You have your control knob. Here's our DNA selector, best feature of the car. Volume, electronic parking brake. That's automatic on an incline, which is nice. Right, steering controls. If you have a Jeep or a Mopar vehicle, these buttons are actually the same, believe it or not. You do have a nice, cool red start-stop button on the steering wheel, which is cool. Pretty sweet. Aluminum paddle shifters. These are great. Shifting with these are amazing. Here we go. We got the light control. Again, I got the auto, so it's pre-selected. Nothing is disconnected. All it does is it sets this to off when you start the car instead of on. We got 3 memory seats, and then the typical window and trunk controls. Okay. Beefier pedals. Upgraded speaker system. Sounds nice. Alright, so I'm just getting my donkeys here in Massachusetts. Another thing to talk about is the tires on this car. It came with summer performance tires, Pirellis. I have changed them since to the Michelin, and they are not cheap. I'll kind of throw the price points here, and the tread wear is about $220. Okay, so those are sticky and they're gonna go pretty quick. So I went ahead and, because it is a daily, driving it through the winter, New England winters, I did get some different wheels and tires to switch. So I got some Pirelli Scorpion winter tires. So again, another expense. Could I have just gone and gotten some all-season rubber? For sure, but I was a little extra and I wanted to have the difference. Also, I just historically cannot keep a car stock. Unfortunately, downfall. But so I do have a set of summer wheels and tires variants, and then I threw the winter rubber on the stock wheels. I like them both. Different looks. I think it'll help the longevity of the summer tires, obviously, but I think getting all seasons, mounting them on your stock wheels is probably the best way to go. Alright, so here we go. Some of the services I've done so far, tracking the miles. Didn't include the price in here, so I'll have to pull that up separately. So at 35 I did oil filter, 41 spark plugs. I wasn't sure. You're supposed to do them apparently every 30,000. So I wasn't sure if they were done. So I did that in the air filter. And then, as you can see, the next one was the big one. So at 36,000, they recommend doing the auxiliary belt and things like that. So I did it at 32.5. Also did the oil change. And then we did the auxiliary belt, pulley tensioner, since we were in there, water pump, and coolant flush. Then I had the new summer tires put on at 44.4. So in the back here, you do have access to opening the seats from back here, which is nice. You have a little 12-volt plug-in, subwoofer, a little storage underneath. This one does not come with a spare. So if you open this up, you do have some storage back here. Comes with a Alfa kind of like pump to get you through if you got a flat, and then the battery is underneath here. So nice and accessible. Some storage back here. Got the rail system for some like storage hookups with the netting, kind of keep things secure. So like I said, you have a split. You can do either sides, or you can do these guys together, or you can do this by itself. So nice and convenient if you want to get the accessory shade for some added security. Then you have this little kind of security thing. Windows are pretty tinted, so you can't really see in here too well. For security reasons, it's kind of messy back here because I do carry around a bunch of junk in here. Subwoofer is all jacked up. Again, it is a daily. You can see it's a bit scratched up, but hey, daily. I promise, I'm daily in it. Okay, this is evidence. Another feature I like is you got the two buttons. If you push this one, it will lock it. If you want to just close it and not lock it, you got that. So I do like that as a feature. Very functional. As I'm filming this part right now, I have exceeded the 50,000 miles. I'm at 52,639 miles. I have done another oil change, and I'm approaching another one. And I'm gonna do a full brake job, rotors and pads on this car. So I'll share the price and the cost of that. So that's a wrap for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the information, found it was useful. Make sure to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and stay tuned till the next one. See ya.